Bums Talk Bass. It is March. It is mildly warm, despite what Jason Zubris fishing report might show you. But I put the boat in the water today.
Ooh,
good stuff.
I guess we're back.
Yeah, we're back. Good news.
Back.
None of the batteries are shot.
That's always good. That's better than me.
Everything turns on and works.
Nice.
The new lower unit prop shaft and prop spin and propel the boat forward.
Heck yeah. Did you try reverse?
No, I didn't actually.
Let's see if it clicks into reverse.
Yeah, that's maybe. Yeah, okay.
Now, do you have to re-break in that lower, or now do you have to do any break-in work with that at all, or no?
I hope not.
You're just letting her rip.
I've heard questionable things on lower unit break-ins. Some people say to do something. Some people are like, just let it rip. It's a lower unit. I would just check the lower unit oil after like 5-10 hours.
10 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Our friend Nicholas checked his lower unit oil today. It looked like a shamrock shake. So
I did, and he's shockingly unconcerned by it.
Compare to my lower unit oil, Potomac.
Nick has warranty. He's fine.
He said, and I quote, "I mean, there's usually a little bit of metal in it, right?"
No.
Well, actually,
technically,
when you get a brand new lower, there will be trace shavings. Yeah, but that's a part of like the break-in process. But if you've had a lower unit and you're on like a couple hundred hours,
and you start seeing shavings.
Yeah, this is not the first time that lower unit oil has been changed. Let's just say that.
Well, we'll find out. Nick's gonna have to rip it around.
We filled it back up, closed it up, and so
out of sight, out of mind.
yeah. His fuel filter looks great too.
That's good.
Did it actually look great?
It's definitely doing its job. I'll say that.
There's water in it.
It's collecting a pile.
The fuel was definitely getting filtered.
The fuel was filtered.
That's good. Was that his inline filter or was it
in the engine? Because there's like two.
Yeah.
The inline ones, they're both easy replacements. You have the inline and you have the other Jean.
I'm excited.
I learned all about that when the tracker sank and there was 20 gallons of water in the gas tank.
Yeah.
You'll have that.
We'll have that.
You will have that.
You know how I know that bassin is approaching?
How?
I do not have to have the heat on in the shed today. I can't.
Whoa.
And I think this might be the first time in podcast history where I don't see my breath when I talk.
That's an upgrade right there.
A win is a win.
That's pretty big.
I don't know why you guys are complaining about anything cold. I'm looking at palm trees out there.
Brennan, you're at a KPMG compound and you have cameras.
I'm not at KPMG anymore. KPMG was last week's episode. This week we're from the grandparents.
It's KPMG drones.
Yeah.
Sorry to ignore you.
Hey, say what you will. My last night there, I ate lobster rolls, skirt steak, birria tacos, and fried cheese curds. It was a great day.
Okay, yeah, enough talking. Hit some numbers to Excel.
Yeah. Is that what they gave? That's what they gave sailors before they, died.
Yeah.
Went to war.
We're here to talk bass fishing, though. So
we're here to talk bass fishing.
Yeah, but anyway, I went bass fishing today, which was actually mostly crappie fishing. So I got to the lake, and the water was 42 degrees, and
it's pretty warm.
Muddy.
You went to Squan, right?
Yeah.
Is Squan back up the water level?
It's on the ramp, but still, like, I'd say probably 6 foot low.
I mean,
Do you guys have a lot of snow in your
20.
area or no?
Yeah.
More than the
Like,
past few years, but
are
I
the
wouldn't necessarily
inlets
categorize
to
it as a
Squan?
lot.
Are the inlets to Squan, they pumping? Is the water pumping in there or no?
It's trickling in there.
Trickling in. I'm
It's probably
curious to
just
see
getting-
how like the good ice cover is going to affect water clarity and health of the overall fishery this year. Now that we had a good ice cover.
Well,
Yeah.
I was shocked to see the water fresh out of ice out. Absolutely disgusting.
Oh, you have a lot of runoff.
How long has it been free? Like what's it called? Not covered in ice for?
I don't
How
really
long
know
is it?
exactly, but probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe.
Okay. I was gonna say I saw a pack on post the other day and it was still frozen in some of the coves, so yeah.
It was like one of those where like you could see like the sand particles floating in the water.
Yeah.
And it was just like not good. Like what are you supposed to throw in that
A Senko.
situation?
A Senko. I
You're
don't
supposed
know.
to
Drag a
throw?
Ned rig.
Like
Supposed to
I'll
throw
break
it,
down what happened.
like throw it back on the trailer.
Yeah. Wait till April.
I got absolutely cranked on a jig on my second cast. I set the hook, my rod doubled all the way over, and then just whoop, came back loose again.
Peckerel.
And then I saw a bunch of suspended dots, and I was like, those are probably crappies, but they weren't grouped up at all. They were all like by themselves. So I was like, maybe they're bass. So then I started scoping them, and they wouldn't eat anything, but they would follow it. And I was like, okay, let me just find out. And then I put a little tiny guy on, and they were crappies. So I did that for a little while because I was like, if I'm going to waste my day out here, I might as well like hone in some scope in the wind. So I scoped crappies in the wind. Still got it. Then I went to the other side of the lake where I caught a 12-incher on a jerkbait.
There you go.
Then I started crappie fishing again. And while I was crappie fishing, all of a sudden, one of those crappies turned into a 4-pounder.
Ooh.
And he jumped and then dove under the boat. And when he dove under the boat, I went to loosen my drag really quick and loosened it way too much, and it came completely loose and popped off.
So
bad
we're
first
back,
day.
but we're got them earlier rust still. We got to get that blaster on it,
So that's how my day went, and I feel like I have this pattern, and I don't know if it's one of three things. It's either that's just how it is this time of year, I'm still really rusty, or I still haven't figured out how to do it. Because my first trip out on the boat, pretty much every year, the first time I take it out always sucks. Like
it's always horrendous.
I always catch pretty much nothing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I don't know.
I feel like the cold,
just a situation where I don't know what to do, or if like I was just never gonna catch anything today.
I think it's both. I think it's we don't really do it. You get that time once a year, and it's also just it's basically winter. I mean, we just had tip ups and shiners out like 3 weeks ago, kind of deal.
At the same time, you're going from you have a 10-degree water difference. You're going from a 33-degree water temp, average up to like a 43 water temp average. Those fish are getting moving. They know the ice is gone. All the crappies are moving up for their pre-spawn. The perch, are there perch in there?
Yeah,
probably. They're all going to spawn. They're flooding the bank. They're flooding their bank. Fish are moving in the right direction. It's just hard with that clarity. That's the main thing, is getting that warming water and that clarity. And then also the wind factor. You said it was windy. That just stirs everything up and getting the fish in the right base. But you said you had that good jig bite and you had them eat that jerk bait. They're moving and they're getting active. So it's like, it's not that like full on, pre-spawn bite. Everybody always talks about the fall transition, but there's also the winter to spring transition that really gets like that. It's the pre-spawn. It's a really thing that we don't get that much in the north because it only lasts a couple weeks. But it's tougher conditions, but there's ways to get after it.
It always seems to be, well, it was one of those things today where like the second I got to the boat ramp and saw the watercolor, because this is not like, it's not like it's a typically dirty lake. Like the water looking the way I saw it today, I've only seen it look like that one other time. And that time also sucked.
They're in shock.
And it was one of those, like, right when I got to the ramp, I immediately knew, like, I was like, I'm not going to catch anything today. Like, we're so screwed.
Had 2 good bites, though, and you caught 1. I'd say we're back.
And those fish are still...
It's just one of those things
still
where
sitting there.
I always hate starting off the season like this because you guys know, like, I have very fragile confidence, and literally just one day like this, like, can totally derail my brain. Like, in my head, I'm just like,
he's already spiraling.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, it's already like my brain was like, this is a situation I should know how to handle. How do I not know what to do? Like,
I mean, I think I could chalk that up to just crappy conditions and ice out.
Like I said, in the back of my head, like I knew, like the second I showed up, I knew it was gonna suck. It was just those conditions. But then, like, my brain starts spinning, and I'm like, okay, but like, regardless of the conditions, I should know how to catch a few.
I think you just gotta get your mental checked. See, there it is. There it is. You said it.
See that sports psychologist. Get ready for the season.
Yeah, well, that's how, like literally, if I have like one bad day of fun fishing in the middle of June, it might ruin my whole year. Like,
that's all I have to do to sit you off. Just take a muscadet Kong and the
that's how
spray the grass.
That's how quick I fall off the tracks. Like, I just like. I wish I had an easier on and off switch. Like, my compete is never off. Like, I'm fun fishing by myself for a few hours, and the compete is on full tilt.
See, I get that, but I feel like that doesn't turn on until like April for me. Like March, I just chalk up to like, this is just a shitty. Like, I'm just hoping that I can go out and have the boat in the water and not be freezing cold and catch a single fish. It's like, we still get snow this time of the year. So
it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, like, it's March, it's fine. I'm not like fishing any tournaments. Like, I can get away with not catching them right now. But like, at some point, I'm going to have to like if you look at like the Open schedule this year, like, if I was fishing the Opens this year, I would have had 2 tournaments in like this type, like wintry.
Well, I mean,
but about that's a completely different lake. They don't have ice.
Well, no, I mean, gosh, we were in, talk about bums 5 years ago. We were in the old Smokelahoma this time of year fishing. Not too different conditions than you found yourself today, Al.
Yeah, actually, that was exactly what today was.
But think about how bad that sucked. I mean, we had 5 boats there, and we had 2 days of practice, and you were the only one that caught a fish in practice, single fish.
Correct.
So, like, think about that. We had 5 boats, 9 people, 2 full days on the water, 1 single fish. So you had
figured it out pretty good by the end of the week, but
yeah. Versus 1 crappy day on a tiny little Jersey.
It's also one of those things where it's like, so this is exactly what I try to tell myself to put myself back on the tracks. And this is a perfect example of this, right? Is like that was Grand Lake, Oklahoma, and it's huge. And there's so many different creeks and ponds and stuff. And like if I'm fishing a real tournament on a real lake, I'll be able to find somewhere or something where the fish are biting, which is exactly what I did at that tournament. I found one area that was a lot better than everything else, and then I caught a lot of fish during the tournament.
Manasquan, you can't do that because you're stuck on the trolling motor. You can't just pop.
But I'm in a little Jersey bowl. It's like,
which is why
the whole lake is right here. So like, there might not be anything to find. They just might not eat today.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I tell myself the difference is. Like, I hate that this is the type of stuff we practice on because I feel like it's so irrelevant.
Sort of, yeah.
Well, to escape the irrelevance, you just got to go north and explore the still wonderful ice that still exists way far yonder.
It's disgusting how much ice was up there.
Your head in the wall.
You definitely caught a lot more fish than me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll never have the opportunity to get up there again. But
why not?
I don't know. It was such a weird situation that presented itself to get and fish this area. For everybody that doesn't know, I went up to the beautiful smallmouth Disneyland in hopes to catch something that wasn't a smallmouth up on the old St. Larry River up near Messina and all that jazz. And we caught probably 60, 70 walleyes a day between the two of us. Absolutely crazy stuff. How much ice did we have? Like 24 inches.
How's that even possible?
Like 24 inches on the river.
All right.
That's crazy.
I need you to explain something to me because you've said this now twice. Why is this a once-in-a-lifetime thing? I mean, it's not far.
Yeah, but the river really hasn't, well, I got a lot of stuff coming up in life where I don't think I'm going to be able to go. Like, so the walleye season on the St. Lawrence ends March 15th. And it ends for two reasons. One, it's closed, and they care in Jefferson County and St. Lawrence County up there. They really care about their species, and they will shoot you if you attempt to keep a walleye after March 15th. The second reason is starting on March 15th, they also, or even earlier sometimes, they need to open the locks back up, and they need to get commerce going.
So they're closed right now.
So, yeah, they're closed. I was fishing in front of a lock.
That's kind of crazy.
They run the icebreakers March 15th. They said, do not be on the ice. We are sending the icebreakers to fuck everything up.
Huh.
Yeah.
I can't believe that the ice can freeze that much on that place. Like, I mean, there's still current flowing. They have to have current flowing.
We're right next to some open water, but we were in a really unique backwater area where basically it created the giant eddy, which froze up, as well as we were actually at the mouth of a river. So all of the walleye were going to go spawn in this river, and we were on an outside ledge where they were all basically pre-spawn staging. And with scope, we'd actually watch walleye that were suspending out in the main river, hug these rock veins, and just travel up them. And we were actually able to trap the fish that way as they moved from day to day as these waves moved. So it was really, truly awesome to get out there. But no, from where the it's a public access. We'll call it a public access. It's where everybody gets on it. It's about a 1.5 mile walk each way. Oh. Not great. And so we didn't have a snow machine or anything. But the conditions allowed us to have not any snow, like an inch. So it was easy.
That's nice.
Really easy. But no, I mean, you cycle through all those and you go for that trophy. And I got the once in a lifetime fish. I got a walleye, 10 pounds, 20 inches by 17. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Got tangled in the scope pole. I was actually looking for. So on the first day, we found this giant boulder. And here's the other thing. So 60, 70 walleye a day, right? Guess where our bycatch was? On a ledge with boulders and 25 to 35 feet.
Nothing.
No perch, no gobies. We didn't see a muskie swim through.
Not even a smallie?
Not a smallie.
That's
How
crazy.
disheartening is that?
Where did they go?
Where do they go? But what did the walleyes eat them all? Did they all chase them away because they were so?
That's so
freaking
strange because you go there in the
So
summer and you catch a billion smallmouth and you don't catch any walleye.
Well,
Yeah.
I know. Well, because the walleyes go into the absolute abyss in the summertime. They're in like 80 feet of water out there. And
Maybe that's where the smallmouth
don't either. But like, do they flip flop? Are the smallies in the watering holes in 80 feet of water behind a giant boulder out there, just laying in the mud?
I've caught smallmouth in 70 on that river.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason they won't go down there, but it's just in an area with minimal current, with all of that life. I mean, I'm even looking at milfoil beds. At the end of the day, we were jigging over an old milfoil bed in 20 feet of water.
Jeez.
And the fact that there was no just even a largemouth out there or anything.
I would say not even a Larry.
I had flags all over the
think
place for chubs and suckers. You would think. Even in the river, we were outside of one of the major rivers that flows into the St. Lawrence. So,
I mean, you would think that you would think you'd catch at least like some like 12 inchers or something. Like,
right. Something
even if
roaming out there.
Even if the smallmouth, say for argument's sake that the smallmouth there like to winter like super crazy, ridiculous deep, like the little guys aren't going out there.
They're all within that column, you know what I mean? And they're following bait. I mean, at the end of the day, it was weird because the river that we were, outside of actually had a lot of runoff coming through it. And even though the ice was 2 feet, we may have had a foot and a half of visibility. I put the camera down there and you could not see in front of it because of all of the current and all of the silt and everything just flying through the river.
Wow.
There's so much movement down there. You think of the St. Lawrence, you're thinking 15, 20 foot visibility. You couldn't see a foot in front of the camera. We put the camera down there. You couldn't see anything, but you just see these giant glaring marble eyes just looking at it. It was some of the craziest shit. But no, I mean, we were just using jigging wraps too. Nothing crazy. I mean, I threw a lot of different stuff. Jigging wraps, blade bait were really good too. Just hopping on the bottom. But no, that big one actually, what happened, we had a giant boulder, probably like a 10-foot by 8-foot boulder on the edge of a rock vein where these fish were just staging out. We were just snatching them up left and right. Then we went to the second day, and these poles were sucked. We started the pole at like 3:30 to get on, all set up by 5. Jeez. That way we were like all ready to go when they started moving, because they move in at first light. Last light they hate it. They hate the evening. But first, no, it's crazy. Like, you will not catch anything on your last light. Your evening bite is abysmal. Like, we should have went home, but no. And I went up there on no sleep. I almost died. I was in the worst snow squall of my life. I could not see 5 feet on the way up. It was such an experience going up there. But no, they were on this boulder. The second day, they weren't there as much. We actually didn't catch a fish on Sunday till 11 o'clock. But what you'd see is every once in a while, you'd have one come through. They'd stop by the boulder. And the boulder was on the edge of a ledge. We were in 35 feet. And we were on the edge. And the hump came up to 25 feet. And you just see them on freaking Neolac target just slither in. Just up to the top. And I had tip-ups on the top of the hump there. I was getting my freaking laps in, going out getting those tip-ups. I'm like,
not a bad problem.
Maybe they're all up there now. So I go 20 feet outside the hut on top of the hump. And I just put the old scoper down there. I'm like, there's a bazillion fish right here.
Jeez.
So I drop down first when I catch like a 3-pound walleye, which is like, 18, 20-inch fish. I'm like, oh, that's a really good fish.
Not bad one.
There's the whole slushed in, didn't scoop it out at all. Scope transducers down there. And you can tell the size of them. So I'm trying to keep the jig and wrap away from the smaller ones on the bottom, right? To see if like a bigger one will come up. Also, just this one blip just goes. I set the hook, and I'm using this lake trout rod that I've had for like 20 years. This absolute deep stick, like it would be like a ice fishing frog rod. This is the first fish all trip that just doubles it over and starts flying. I'm like, awesome. Oh. So I immediately go to throw the scope transducer out, right? It's all wrapped around like twice. I'm over here playing with it. Luckily I get it up on the first one. I scoop it up I just grab it. I like throw the rod over to the side. I grab both of it. I just stare at the thing. There's a bunch of freaking Canadians on the one side looking at me and they're like, oh yeah, bud. My partner comes out of the hut. He's just staring. He's like, so that was a cool fish.
Awesome.
But yeah, no. The one thing that was really surprising, I was going into this earlier before we started, was the little 20-pound test, snap swivels. Not snap swivels, barrel swivels. And I know that Aaron Martins was a big proponent of them on his drop shots to prevent line twist. That he would actually, with his leader, he'd go from his braid to his leader with these barrel swivels, and then he'd put some type of a plastic sheathing on the outside of it. I don't know if we ever talked about this before. We might have touched on it. But I remember watching an old Aaron Martins video of him doing that when he was drop shotting for smallmouth in really deep water to prevent his line twist. And you just put like some type of, not like heat shrink, because I feel like the heat shrink would maybe inhibit the barrel swivels from swimming.
I was just gonna say, what do you possibly put over it that's gonna go through the guide and not stop it from spinning?
Right, because you can't get away with I really don't believe that you can get away with a 5-6 foot fluorocarbon leader to like a high vis braid.
But maybe back when he was doing it, you could.
Mate, I still don't know because he had something figured out on that, but I don't know. I think I'm going to try and do some more research, and I'll let you guys know because I feel like that is something that we don't utilize. And, fishing in that deep water, I mean, you guys don't do it all that much. You're, shallower tidal guys. I mean, you're not fishing that real deep stuff. You know what I mean? That like 30, 40.
I do not fish 40 feet very often.
I feel like the only place to really do that are your Great Lakes, your St. Lawrence River.
I was going to say,
that's the only place you really encounter that.
Really, there's not really too many places in the country where you're fishing more than that.
No, exactly not. Yeah. Those are like the only places in the country you're really encountering that situation where you're dealing with that deep water current and line twist.
I've only done it I've only caught fish deeper than say 40 something at two places, and that would be the St. Lawrence River and Lake George.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah. I don't think I've gone deeper than that anywhere else.
Well, because it also it takes an interesting fishery, right? Because most of your standard lakes, especially in the middle of the country and or down south, most of your standard lakes are not going to have livable oxygen that deep.
You're going to have your proper stratification, and you're going to have a thermocline at 25 feet, 15 to 25. And not to say you're not going to have oxygen below that, because fish will sometimes dip below that thermocline.
Absolutely.
But you have to remember, that's where you have your thermocline is your largest drop of oxygen. That's your biggest change right there. And if they're below that thermocline, they're already having low oxygen. Their metabolism is down so low, they're not going to be actively feeding. They're down there. They don't want to be down there, but they're down there because something's going on.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not the fish you're going to want to target for a tournament, at least.
It takes a unique type of fishery to even allow that to happen. And the thing I've learned is that if it is that type of fishery that will allow it to happen, the fish will go there. They have no problem.
Absolutely.
Especially smallmouth, but even largemouth will go a lot deeper than you think they will. But
like Lake George.
Yeah. But if I don't, when people talk about the depth thing, I don't think it's really a matter of if they can handle being that deep or not, because clearly you see they can. I think it's a matter of, does the lake, the oxygen, the forage allow you to? If in situations where you see that they're allowed to, they absolutely will and have no problem with it. Right. But I think what you see more often than not is not oh, bass don't live deeper than 40 feet. They can't. Their bodies can't handle it. That's not.
They
true.
can handle it.
They don't live deeper than 40 feet because everything's dead below 40.
Look at a pack hong, right? We were just saying in our chat the other day, it doesn't have livable oxygen below what, like 15
Well,
feet
that's a
crazy
whole
like
other situation due to the phosphorus amounts
yeah,
in the
but
and the amount of
it's
you know.
same concept. If they had the oxygen down there, I'm sure they
would go down
25,
there.
30.
Right, but it's just the fact that you have a giant phosphorus. I don't want to get into the whole limnology aspect of what's going on like pack hong, but Brennan just gave the juice away. You don't have to fish any. If you're fishing any deeper than 20 feet, you're doing it wrong.
No.
I feel like St. Lawrence, especially just because of all the current, it's just mixing that water up so much.
Exactly. You have the current, the mixing, and then you also have your main forage population doesn't give an absolute damn.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is like, people wonder how that fishery got how it is. I mean, it's a perfect storm of like the forage, the depth, the current, and the oxygen that allows it to be possible. I mean, it's just like it's
a fish factory.
And
it is a one in the world place for a reason. Like, so many things lined up to make that possible, that just like, no matter how hard you try, like the biological, ecological factors of like most bodies of water in the United States, let alone the world, are just not going to allow you to grow fish like that place does.
Yeah. I mean, look at it even from the other standpoint too, of not just like the perfect storm of forage and all that, but it's just farms. There's not many people living up there. You're not going to have all the crazy pollutants at nearly as much dumping in as all the other lakes sitting around the country.
And if you do, it moves.
Wouldn't go there. It moves, but there's
slides
up there, especially on the northern regions. There's a lot of industry on that river, and there needs to be a lot more protections. Because I'll tell you what, it is slowly going downhill. Because there is a lot more industry on both sides of the river.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I looked at a sign for the first time. I saw a sign that said, "Don't eat fish from the St. Lawrence River."
Really?
There's PCBs in the water.
Yeah.
That's something you don't want to see, because it is a once in a world resource. You gotta talk to your elected officials, or just, I don't even know, get some shit taken care of on that end, because we don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
But we have a while to talk about smallmouth. I just wanted to chip in about that little walleye adventure. Now I'm done. I'm out. I got it out. The ice gear's away. I'm not going to be talking about ice fishing anymore. I got it out of my system. I'm cured. I got a derb on the bay in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
Wait, what?
Is that your nation?
No, March 30th. There's a Susquehanna fishing tackle. They're fishing. They have some tournament series.
That's not 2 weeks. It's 3 weeks.
30th in like 2 weeks, dude.
No, it's not.
2.5.
14.
20 days. A little less, 19.
Yeah.
2.5, almost 3 weeks.
I gotta make my tackle warehouse order tonight, or it's gonna be a month late.
You know who's not gonna go to that tournament?
You guys. I have an off-pod question to ask you about that.
We could talk about that. But that Susquehanna schedule sucks.
It does suck.
It's a horrible schedule.
Which is why all spring. Because if it sucks, it could throw everybody off. Gives a Zoob a chance.
They're all so early.
Yeah.
Like the championship is in like mid-June.
Right.
Which is
I mean,
I guess they want to start fishing there is June, May, June.
Oh, you know why they probably did that?
Why?
I know why this didn't click to me until now. They have to end before the off limits for the Open.
Oh, that makes sense.
Hmm.
When does the off limits for the Open start? Well, what is it? 30
End of
days
June,
before?
June 20 something.
Yeah. That makes sense.
They actually they actually pushed the off limits period back a day. The off limits for the Bay is 1 day shorter than the off limits for every other Open to allow people to fish the Ike Foundation tournament.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, for good reason. What's 1 day going to change?
How many local yokels do you think are going to be fishing that Open?
That is the thing I was wondering is, and I don't know what all the schedules are, but thinking about the fact that Susquehanna did that, my initial thought was, I think there's going to be a decent amount of guys that don't want to forego the other tournaments just to fish the Open.
Yeah.
But if most of the big tournament trails are in agreement of not putting anything during that off limits, then I think probably everybody's going to fish it.
Well, when is the first Northern Open? Or is that the first one for the Northern?
There's no Northern. It's just 2 divisions, and they seem to be pretty random.
Isn't there like
they've already had?
I forgot they completely. I know that, but I forgot they completely changed it because I didn't know if they did like a classic qualification if you fished a certain amount anymore. You know what I mean? Remember how they used to have the North, Central, and South, and if you don't,
it's split into 4 and 4.
Yeah, it's split into 4 and 4. But if you still have to fish all 8 to qualify for the classic, or if you fish,
no,
I think it's just the 4. Right?
4. There's 4 and 4. They're 2 different divisions,
right?
Like how it was in the old day. You only have to fish 4. You can get into everything by only fishing 4.
Okay. Oh, I thought there's 4 and 4, and then after the first 4, aren't there like 2 more?
There's more. Yeah,
there's more, but you have to be in the first 80 to fish the top 80 or something. The top 40.
It's 40 from each division.
40.
Yeah, right. Top 40 from each division, but it's those first 4 are to qualify for the classic. Then, if you win one out of the first 4, you qualify. That's the only reason why I'm asking.
Well, you have to. I think you have to be
fishing
up
all 4
for all 4.
Right. Oh yes. No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't have to be signed up for all 8, but you do have to be signed up for all 4.
So, of the first 4 that involved the Chesapeake, did that one happen yet or no? Was that Clark's Hill?
At least one of them did. I don't know which it is.
It had to be
Clark's. Yeah.
Well,
Clark's
here's
Hill.
the thing that I was trying to explain to you. There's no like north, south, central.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. But like
the locations don't seem to have any rhyme.
No, they don't have any regionality to them.
It's Clark's Hill, Tombigbee River in Missouri. Then it's the Chesapeake, and then it's the St. Lawrence for Division 1.
Okay, so I guess we could see if any friends or fellow bay anglers fish that Clark's Hill one. If you have a good population that fish that, because I don't know, there isn't a lot that comes with winning an Open for what you put in. You know,
my knowledge, nobody I know went.
I know
you have to go to Georgia, and then you have to go to. I mean, not Missouri.
I know people in the Clark's Hill tournament. I mean, none of the Bay guys went.
I thought I saw 1 or 2.
I mean, some of the Bay guys might jump in it just for winning 40,000, right?
Well, is that what it is right now?
Well, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's better than.
Never mind. They'll be in that. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta think of these guys. I mean,
there's also clout. You know what I mean? There's just the absolute, that comes with winning an Open on the Bassmaster Open in your home body of water. It's just.
Believe me when I tell you, and because I know a lot of these guys, they're gonna fish it.
Yeah. Okay.
I would be fishing it if it didn't conflict with a lot of stuff for me.
What's it conflict with? I'm surprised you're not getting after that one, to be honest. Now that I realized that the payout's $40,000.
The same week as Cayuga. It's the same
You're
week as
right, it
Cayuga.
is.
Also, there is
No, it's the week after. You can make it. You just have to
No.
do Cayuga straight to the bay.
And the team tournament is in the off limits period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather make the team trail than the.
So
Zoop, you got to sign up for the New Jersey Nation, bud.
Yeah.
I need a partner for the team trail. Alex decided to ditch me.
you have to be a thing first to consider it ditched.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know what Worth was thinking about when he got married to his wife or whatever he wants to call it, because he's been married to Alex way longer than that.
That's true.
The guy's lucky he's got me to drag him along to all these fucking things.
I wish he'd just sell me his scooter already, so he doesn't need a boat. Alex just needs a backup boat.
What you guys hear? He's buying a power pole move.
Oh no! I thought he was getting the new Ultrax Quest.
Yeah, he was until he decided he wasn't.
I don't hate it.
Nice.
I
mean,
that.
it looks like a good trolling motor.
It's a great trolling motor.
Yeah,
I just don't like how the head is so tiny and you can't see where it's like really facing.
Or you could just buy
so tiny.
You could just buy a Quest, save $1,000, and then buy a LVS 34.
Yeah, but Cloud, and you don't need LVS 34 in the bay.
So here's the issue: is Ryan is buying this move under the thought process of, oh, we're gonna have like a really fast trolling motor for our trolling motor only buddy tournaments.
Stop it.
But he fails to realize that if he doesn't have an LVS 34, I'm still not getting on his boat. We will still be using my boat until he gets a live scope.
Why don't you just pull them off? Why don't you just pull it off and swap it every time? You're like a union electrician or something like that. We'll take what?
I will certainly not be doing that.
Doesn't he only have a 9-inch too? Not even a 12
I didn't even take it off for 3 months of ice fishing. I'm not taking it off for one club derb.
Ripping it off for 3 months of ice fishing is the best thing I've ever done.
I
would argue that.
No desire. I know.
Yeah. I also don't want to like risk like lugging it around with me and like fucking it up.
Getting scratching your transduce is a very big thing you got to watch for.
This is the third season in a row that I have not taken the live scope off of the boat for ice fishing. So
I will never ice fish without live scope ever again in my life. I can't.
That's
do
what
it.
we got. That's why we got
I will buy another live scope before I take it off the boat.
That's also valid.
But I think
you're going to need the second live scope.
Which I think for next year, like, I'm going to wait on it because I want to see if we're like actually going to have a real winter or not. Yeah. But if we do have another real winter, I probably will buy like a used 32.
Oh, the 32
is ice fishing with me.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. I don't need a unit. I'll take a graph with me, but
the graph's easy. Take a 9 or something. Don't you have that 10 in your dash? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean I take my
bass listeners. I have an HDS Live 12 and a brand new Active Target 2 in box.
There we go.
Hit the thumbs talk bass. If you refer a friend to it, you get something off the wall. Please buy it. Please. I don't want it.
Something.
There's nothing wrong with it. It works great. We used Active Target 2 to jig up our Walters all weekend, and we absolutely crushed them, and we were able to tell size and clarity and everything. I just have a personal preference towards Garmin, and I want to go in that direction.
Are you going to get? You're going to get a 34 this year?
Hopefully, I get a job.
You have a job. You just got off the clock.
Yeah, you do have a job. That's why I'm sitting here at 10:30 on a fucking Tuesday recording this podcast.
Well, I'm going up on a Tuesday. What can I say? You know, gotta get after it somehow.
That's absolutely killing me.
These big M4.0s aren't going to give away themselves.
Well, nobody submitted the code, so
It is brutal. You guys all suck. The next pod's out. That means you missed the deadline. You guys all suck. We're literally giving away free shit.
Well,
the deadline.
Well, I shouldn't say nobody. The winner didn't.
Yes.
Do I have to
Someone
send a
else
fucking
try?
crankbait to Andy's app? Is that what's gonna happen?
You would have, but he said
He didn't get it right.
He said he texted it correctly to me.
Oh.
But he said, make sure Zoob does not send me a crankbait. I don't need it, and I'm not going to use it.
He could have donated it to charity.
So.
Okay, I'm charity.
Yeah. Congrats on your new big
right
M,
back.
Zoob.
Thanks. I'm going to absolutely chuck it into a absolute, probably a $200,000 yacht on the bay.
But speaking of that, we're not going to do our classic preview because we still have another week to that.
We still have a week. Still have to think 10 days till the Classy, though. It's
exciting.
It's getting there. But there were some things
at the Knoxville Classic 2026. See you guys there.
Ooh. Will we have our own booth? Who knows?
I want to do I'd love to do like a Luke Duncan style event, like rent out a bar and do a live podcast there.
Oh, I got the spot too. I got the spot in Knox Vegas.
That's cool.
I actually do have a connection with the owner of a classic college bar down there, who's a very intertwined personal friend. Ever hear of Cool Beans?
No.
Well,
I guess
if it's a bar in Knoxville, why would I ever?
I don't know, Alan. You like to get after it. I saw your Snapchats the other night.
Yeah, I that actually is a fair point. I've gotten after it in many locations in the country.
Yeah.
Grove, Oklahoma.
Grove, Oklahoma. Oh my god.
Kentucky.
Sandusky, Ohio.
Alabama. Sandusky Bay.
Did we go out in Grove?
South Florida.
Oh, I went out in Grove. Never mind. No,
I went out in Grove. Let me tell you, I went out in Grove. Sitting at the bar, smoking inside, talking to Soaring Eagle and a South African in Grove, Oklahoma.
Sounds like a book. Sounds like an opening to like Martin Scorsese. That's Martin Scorsese.
It was like
Once upon a time in Grove,
what's
Oklahoma,
the guy's name? The Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm going. That was what I was going for. I can't put a name on it. I'm not
Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
It was the opening of a Hunter S. Thompson article. Is what that night was. But nice swimmer.
I'm really excited.
But I figured we'd do it in reverse order and talk general bassin and what's going on with us first. But there are some bass fishing world things I wanted to get into. I got a couple things here. The first one, is Kentucky Lake just a smallmouth lake now? Is that what we're doing?
Talking about that.
That's what it seems like.
Now.
I mean, because it's like people are like, oh, the weights are better again. Is Kentucky Lake back? And it's like, well, define back, because one, no, it's not back to what it was. Yeah. It was the best lake in the country,
largemouth
with giant largemouth. So even if you're talking just numbers, no, it's still not back. But has it rebounded? Yes.
I would say 100% it rebounded.
But it's not
in a different way.
It's not at all what it was.
Well, they put a lot of different efforts into the water quality out there. I know that the TVA was very adamant about controlling all the issues that it had. They put a lot more conservation efforts on the place. And we were just talking about, a deep river fishery. And people think about where was the record smallmouth out of? Where's that out of? Not the St. Lawrence.
Was it out of
Is it
no.
Tennessee?
In Tennessee, Dale Hollow.
I was just that's what I was looking for. I was looking for Dale Hollow. I knew the name.
Now, here's the thing. Now, it's not a Great Lakes fishery, but Dale Hollow and Kentucky Lake are very different in their own right.
Yeah.
But Kentucky Lake Kentucky Lake isn't really a lake. Kentucky Lake is a big ass river.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, river, heavy current. And if you can manage that properly, you get the conditions for an ideal smallmouth fishery if that water quality is managed right.
Well, I mean, you look at Laker Howell, who ran all the way to the Pickwick Dam.
Oh,
140 miles one way.
which just tells
How
you
is
the
that
vastness of
even
this fishery. And then it's like there's a whole other
possible?
lake too. There's Barley as well.
Yeah, Barkley connected.
Yeah, he ran all the way to the dam of Lake Pickwick.
How many times did he have to stop for gas? That's insane.
He had about 2 hours of fishing time, he said.
That's crazy.
And did he smoke? Did he smoke? I didn't. You know.
Yeah, I didn't see
He
the
came in the
results.
top 10. I think he came up short of a limit on the last day, but it worked out.
Well, that's how you get. Well, that's how you get away from everyone, I guess.
Yeah, it worked out
Yeah.
far enough. But I mean, guys in the top, like some of these bags would have like one token big largemouth in them, but for the most part, I mean, they were weighing 80 to 90% smallmouth on Kentucky Lake. And I had heard about Mark Menendez talking about it, and he said that the Asian carp thing hurt the largemouth, but it actually in some weird ways helped the smallmouth, because part of the reason why it hurt the largemouth is these Asian carp were coming in pretty much like setting up on the ledges and hanging out there and displacing the bait and the fish. Well, what they did was they displaced the bait into the middle of the river system where it was now suspending and balling up, which allowed for allegedly an explosion in the smallmouth population, is what Mark Menendez was saying.
And a lot of the largemouth over there are going to move offshore too. It's just, largemouth will suspend and behave that way as well. But it's just they're not as apt to be able to, roam and cruise. And they largemouth with school. I mean, you see schooling largemouth all over the country, but not to the ability of the smallmouth. The other thing was the spawning habitat that got absolutely screwed over with those Asian carp, because they do move shallow. They do destroy the spawning habitat.
Yep.
I think with your increased water clarity and your increased, your whole better water quality overall, they're expanding their spawning habitat to help those numbers come back up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of work to do out there. But no, I mean, if you're going to talk about anybody that knows Kentucky Lake, I mean, Mark Menendez has been there longer than anyone else and will know more about that fishery than I think anybody will ever care to know. Even as cracked out as he is, Matt Robertson would know a thing or two about that place.
Top 10.
Well, he's the king of Kentucky Lake,
He top 10 that open.
Yeah, he's probably mad he didn't win.
Yeah, he did say actually on the Zona podcast, Zona was giving him some shit because he said on stage he was like, focused on getting back home and fishing and winning the Kentucky Lake Open, and to which Zona said, you should probably focus less on the Opens and more on the Elite Series because you're about to get kicked out. Which was some absolutely ruthless talk out of Mark Zona. But he said,
is he actually on the chopping block?
Oh yeah.
Really?
He's in 89th right now, and he finished somewhere in the 80s last year.
Because
did he really last year?
He only had that one good tournament on Murray, right? He had a good Murray tournament.
Murray top.
He had a decent classic too, I believe.
That classic doesn't go towards points.
No.
No.
So yeah, he had a pretty bad year last year. And how the relegation works is like to prevent you from getting kicked off by just one bad year, combines kind of your most recent years. And he's like I said, I think he's in 89th. He might even be lower. He might be in the 90s this year. We're only through 2 events, so there's plenty of time to rebound. But if he posts another low 80s, high 90s number, he's sitting in that bubble.
I don't see
how much do they chop off each year? Is it like 9, 10 people they caught each year?
They're doing about 10 now. They're doing the cycle there.
Yeah, because it would be nine new coming in from the Opens and then one from the Nation Championship.
Okay.
So you're rotating them there.
Is it cumulative or what?
So it's
hard to tell.
It's your best 2 or 3 year average or something crazy like that.
No, it's the average of your last 3 years.
Are you sure that's not the MLF one? Because MLF did it that way, I know.
I'm pretty sure.
How does that work though? If you're not, so you have to. That gives you like a 3-year safety net when you get into the elites, then, right?
You have
or 1 year, and then
you have a 1 year safety net. If your percentage is low enough after your 2 seasons, you're still eligible to be kicked out. No matter where you place after 1, you're safe. But
gotcha.
After 2, you're in the mix. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting because I mean, I'll say this: at least it's not. It was only a few years ago where you were looking at results and like, a BFL at Kentucky Lake was taking like 14 pounds to win.
Oh yeah, no, it was abysmal. And they have
which is
an entire BFL division that strictly fishes Kentucky Lake.
Yeah,
the LBL,
and it draws a lot of boats. Yeah. And to have 14 pounds win that tournament of
a fishery that extends 140 miles.
Yeah,
you're not talking about the Ohio River here. That's
no, that's insane. Bad news. That's bad news. And at least, like, it's far from the Kentucky Lake it used to be, but it took well over 20 pounds a day to win this tournament, which we haven't seen at this lake in a while.
Long time.
You also have to remember it's still heavy pre-spawn too,
Yeah.
This is the best fishing you're going to have, which is a good thing. It shows that I'll say, I hope it drives people to go to Kentucky Lake. The more people that go there and the more people that, utilize it means the state's going to put more money into the conservation efforts. If they see, if they see money coming through, they're going to put more money into getting the place fixed up.
Yeah, well, I wonder if they saw, I'm sure they did. I don't know how close they're paying attention, but I wonder how much money they've lost because of this. Because Kentucky
people
Lake,
not coming,
Kentucky Lake really was like, I mean, in the time we were growing up in bass fishing, like all those ledge fishing tournaments, KVD with the crankbaits, the offshore, like
the old FLWs. The biggest one of my core memories is that freaking FLW tournament when those guys are a boat length away from each other, about to kill each other. The one who puts on the trailer and leaves. That's bass fishing Hall of Fame shit.
I mean, I remember first getting into bass fishing, like watching tournament bass fishing, thinking that like
that's the
pro
type of
bass fishing was just ledge fishing.
Yeah, dude, that's all I've wanted to do when I started fishing. I was like, I want to go ledge fish. That looks like fun. Like you just sit there.
And let's be honest, ledge fishing borderline doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not just Kentucky Lake.
It's not as dominant anymore. It still definitely exists.
It definitely exists, but you're not like.
I mean, last year we had, Wheeler, and that was supposed to be a ledge tournament. And guys did it. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't the dominant technique. Guys did it to survive. We had
the dominant technique was fishing the flat on Wheeler.
Right, exactly. It wasn't the dominant technique. So that's what I'm saying. You're right on that. And what was it when Lowen won on Pickwick? Was that 2 or 3 years before that?
Well, that Pickwick was flooded.
And it was Pickwick was flooded. But still, guys weren't fishing the ledges as well. It's kind of a fading technique now.
I mean, it was one of those things where like that was like there were 2-3 ledge tournaments every year in both major organizations, and you couldn't even consider sniffing a trophy doing anything else. And now, Now I feel like it's kind of the opposite. I feel like you would be surprised to see somebody win. I mean, granted, a lot of that is
because of
scheduling.
all the pressure offshore, though. I mean,
I think you would see ledges play if they did Gunnersville or Chickamauga in the middle of July. Yeah. Again, like they used to. I think part of that is scheduling for sure.
They have to hit it when it's like fresh, all the fish moving out onto the ledge, because then they always talk about, like those ledge fish schools
but
just get broken up and beaten to a pulp.
But it's also like you could probably catch them and win off of like a ledge type spot, but it's not really ledge fishing anymore. Like I would be surprised to hear, and maybe there is, I don't know, I'm not down there, I'm not in that scene, but I would be surprised to hear that people are consistently winning tournaments, like deep cranking a corner ledge bar. Like, I just don't think that really happens anymore.
Yeah. More or less.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure it happens on a day, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think
it's not the the consistent pattern that everyone's doing.
I would bet that it was consistent, and then scope came. And, when they had that prime ledge period when, you have all the perfect ledge conditions, that immediate post spawn they get out there, it's probably absolute anarchy. But now with all the pressure, those fish are just relating to different,
those fish are getting beaten up. Those schools are getting targeted every day.
Different things. They're dispersing more. They're levitating.
Yeah. Everybody knows
how to catch a fish on a ledge now.
if it's a good, if there is a good ledge spot on a TVA lake,
people gonna find
hundreds of people know about it.
Yeah. And even when you show up now, you have your contour map, you have your scope, you have your side scan, you're going to find it. And you can find
the Hummingbird Lake Masters on the TV are absolutely cataclysmic. Like, there's not a sequel left.
Yeah.
But another thing, I don't know if you guys caught any of it. I caught a little bit of it. There was a Bass Pro Tour on Lake Murray.
Mr. Gill.
Looked like they caught him pretty good. Interesting to see. It appeared to me, again, I didn't watch the live all 3 days. It appeared to me like he was catching most of his weight on scope. So he was able to do that so well in one period to still outlast everybody else.
And after that, it looks like he's throwing a Nico rig up shallow after that, right? That was his non-scope thing.
It seemed like he was fishing around docks, doing the thing that most of the other guys were doing, and still catching fish. You know what I mean? But it seemed like 70 to 80% of his weight was coming in that scoping period. And there were a lot of guys catching fish in different ways. Like some guys were scoping. Most guys were fishing around docks or cranking bank and stuff. And they were catching a lot of fish and having good tournaments. But the pace that he was able to put on in that scoping period was just like unbelievable.
No,
what was he doing scoping? Like where? What was he?
I don't really see how that.
Seems like he was mainly just like in the middle of like classic like pocket entrance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the middle of a pocket or like a finger or arm where fish are probably pulling in, and just shaking the minnow.
Drew Gill needs to be studied. And I can't wait in 20 years for his book to come out, in all reality. Because the way that he just analyzes situations and scenarios, whenever you hear him speak, he is highly intelligent. He doesn't just have that gift. He has the intelligence and the reasoning and the logic behind it. He doesn't think oh, this bank looks good, I'm going to fish it. He is so methodical with everything he does. He is just really, if you want to learn a lot, you got to really pay attention. He's a freak.
He legitimately operates on statistics. It's crazy how I listen to him talk about how he practices, and it's insane, dude. he goes to different. So this is what he does. He picks different sections of the lake, and he goes there and he just sticks his live scope down in the water and looks around, and he marks down every time he sees a bass, and he does that for 2 hours. Then he goes to another place for 2 hours, marks down every time he sees a bass, goes to another place for 2 hours, marks down every time he sees a bass. And then he throws at those bass and marks down how many fish reacted or bit his bait. And then he takes those numbers, and whichever area had the highest percentage of fish that will eat his bait, he goes, regardless of what I feel, he goes, I try to take all the personal feel out of it. He's like, because sometimes you're like, oh, I want to fish in this way, so I'd rather fish here. He goes, I 100% listen to whatever the numbers do. He goes, if I go to 3 areas and I had 54 in one, 53 in the other, and 53 in the other, I'm only fishing the first area.
You also have to remember, I think that's a consequence of the format. When you have to catch as many fish as possible, it doesn't matter if you feel something. Because if you feel something, you catch 5 fish. Mm-hmm. You catch 5 of the right fish. But that's not his situation. His situation is statistics. MLF is a statistical, format.
Yeah.
It's another reason why I hate the format, because I mean, I get that they're dumbing down on it with only allowing you to use it for one period, but like the format of every fish counts it's pretty much just saying, hey, like, you cannot keep pace doing anything else besides live scoping. Like, there's definitely ways to catch bigger ones. There's definitely ways to grind out a better 5 fish limit. But if we're just stacking 2-pounders, there is no possible way you're going to stack 2-pounders doing anything else better than you're going to stack 2-pounders shaking a minnow.
And you're thinking, pre-spawn on a place like Lake Murray, fish are moving up, you could catch some absolute giants. Lake Murray is, up there number 1 right now. Mm-hmm. Lake Murray, we talked about this. It's up there. There's so many purely giant fish that I'm sure if you threw a soft swimmer up there right now, you could catch freaks.
And that's the thing, is most of the guys weren't doing the live scope thing. Most of the guys were fishing old school pre-spawn and still cracking them.
But they weren't cracking them enough in the format.
Just can't keep up the same.
Exactly.
Same pacing, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
I wonder what his average fish came out to versus like the other guys in the top 10.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I don't know.
100 2-pounders, and everyone else has 54 pounders.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure. I'm sure he would have done well regardless. Mm-hmm. But I'm willing to bet if it was a 5 fish format tournament, he probably doesn't win it.
He'd been top 10, but I would agree with that. He's not going to win the 5 fish tournament. But he's not fishing the 5 fish tournament, so who cares?
And I didn't watch enough or see as many of his fish to know if that's like even slightly true. That's just an assumption. But I know I did see clips of guys catching some big ones up shallow under docks and stuff. So
gets the
I don't know.
Pumping.
Main takeaway is just Lake Murray's sick. That's really it. Like,
when's the bums road trip to Lake Murray?
My one boy Tony, he's living on Lake Murray right now, and he's just showing me like, why am I living in Pennsylvania?
It's probably like, in terms of just like having fun catching a bunch of fish, it's probably the best place to be on right now.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
For like a year round, just like having.
I'm going to say, even in like the summer, I feel like it's probably pretty good. Busy boat traffic.
Summer, you're on an offshore it's a herring fishery. You have your offshore herring fish.
Yeah.
That never die. And then there's just even, bump stock multi-species. The striper population there, I heard, is actually insane. So I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. Fun place.
Oh, I did hear there was a bunch of times on the MLF broadcast where guys would be out there deeper, like scoping, and they'd set the hook on a big one. They'd be like, "Oh, don't be a striper, don't be a striper." Like,
yeah, that's why I said that.
And striper.
Yeah.
And,
So
no,
there has to be
how
a decent few. I saw one guy, I forget who it was. It might have been Drew Gill. I don't know who it was, but I saw one guy throw one on scope and he hooked it and it was like a 5-pounder. And he was like, I almost didn't throw at that one because of how big the mark was. I thought it was a striper.
Jesus.
He's like, I came very close to not even throwing at that fish.
It makes you wonder when he's doing his pre-fishing and just sitting there and marking fish on scope. How does he know that they're all bass? Just because he's so in tune with it, just that he doesn't mark some small stripers.
I mean, when you look at it every day.
Yeah.
The interview I saw with him, I believe it was the same interview. The person asked him what you just asked.
Mm-hmm.
And he was basically like, which was an interesting point, but he was like, what else are they going to be? And the guy was like, I don't know, like any other fish. And he was like what? Give me an example. And
not
the guy
stripers
was like,
or
and then he said stripers he was like, and he was like, stripers are huge. It's very easy. And then the guy was like, crappies. And he was like, crappies are all grouped together in a ball. Bass don't do that. It's very easy. And then the guy was like, yeah, catfish. I guess you're right. Yeah, he said catfish. He was like, all right, come on. Be for real. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like, I guess you're, really, like, people talk about, like, how do you identify, like, the difference between fish species and this, that, and the other? And I've always just been like, I don't know, that just doesn't seem to really be much of a problem for me. Like, most of the time, they just are bass. Like,
if you're in the right area. I'm starting to know that if you're in the right area at the end of the day, if you're where the bass should be and they should be bass, you might not be right 100% of the time.
Like, I feel like people in, like, live scoping interviews and, like, talking about that are always asking, like, how do you differentiate between a bass and this and that? And, like, I don't know, just in my experience, it's just, like, not that hard.
I guess it's just like a matter of, like,
I run into, really.
You know what the main thing is?
I'm like, look at all those.
These guys don't live on trout lakes.
Well, I've seen trout on it. I feel like I can tell pretty
sometimes.
easily.
I mean, I don't know. If you see a fish in, 2 feet of water when you're in 120 feet, it's probably a trout.
Probably
a trout. I will be right back.
This is pre-recorded. We can just take a bathroom break.
Dude, that was no way, Zoop.
You probably just pissed off on the shed.
I was just pissed.
Yeah, but that was like 2 seconds. I didn't think I could get it out that fast.
The reason I keep looking over here is because there's a chipmunk stuck in my shed. Don't know how it got in here, but it's rumbling around.
Anyway, we're back. The last thing I wanted to touch on, the NPFL.
Oh, yeah. I did see. I'll clip it.
First one, no scope tournament.
Guess who's back?
I have, before we even talk about the tournament, because, listen, I'll be honest, didn't really watch hardly any of it. I had other stuff going on, plus I was tuning into the Open and Lake Murray and stuff. Like, why are we scheduling 3 on top of each other? Like, that's crazy. But I wanted to see as much as I could and kind of get an idea of, like, what was going on, how guys were fishing, so I could at least talk about it. So I was like, all right, I'll go over to the NPFL Instagram page and watch some of the clips and see what's going on and how it went down. The NPFL Instagram page did not post one clip
really
of the entire tournament. I don't know who is running the social media for the NPFL, but they need to be immediately fired. I mean, that is the number one That is the number one traffic driver to your organization.
This is actually my first time I'm like opening up their website for the first time.
Dude, if you look at the engagement and the shares on, I mean, think about a Bassmaster tournament, right? What do we do when there's a cool fish catch? Bass posts
Send it to everybody,
and we're sending it in the group chats. People are posting on their story, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, there's nothing. I'm blown away by that.
They did not post one clip of their tournament.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
crazy.
what even is the NPFL? I don't even know if I follow them. Honestly.
Well, you know, that was another thing I was going to say. They have the worst Instagram username for their
What's
league.
their username? I don't even
and the worst website name.
National EFL?
PFL.
Oh, National.
The National PFL.
PFL, which is crazy. It's like if you write if you write an NPFL.
Oh, I do follow. Yeah.
It takes me 3 tries to find it every time.
Yeah, they got nothing. They got, oh my God.
They got nothing.
Dude.
I just looked. They got nothing. They got Jack.
I mean, they have some pictures.
They took live.
I mean, these guys cracked them. 30 pounds everywhere.
They took live scope away. It was a shallow water beatdown.
That's what guys want to see.
The piss out of them. Big names are there. Elite Series guys are there. MLF guys are there. You have everything working
together
for you.
This is what you wanted.
The absolute worst marketing in the history of anything ever. I mean, nobody even knew this tournament had started.
I mean, look at the top names. They have Christie, Kupel, Bill Lowen, Hank Cherry, Pat Walters, Hackney, Buddy Gross, Kyle Welcher, all in the top 13, top 12.
Now, and
I didn't even know that.
I don't know what the ratings were. I heard rumblings that the NPFL ratings this weekend were actually really good, like for them, like the best they've ever gotten. But assuming that is true, imagine how good they could have been if anybody knew this tournament was happening.
Yeah,
like they got good ratings in spite of themselves. This could have been humongous.
This could have been their moment. This was their moment, and they blew it.
It could have been huge, dude. How does Jason Christie win a NPFL tournament, catches over 30 pounds?
He catches an 8-pounder. 8-pound, 4-ounce
and I
fish.
have not seen one. I can't find a video clip. I cannot find one video of one Jason Christie fish catch.
I wonder if it's a sponsor.
Pat Walters caught a 9-pounder.
I mean,
there should be clippets of that.
I'm scouring
they have
the
marshals even besides their. I don't know. Besides their camera crew, do they have marshals? I don't know.
I'm sure all these guys are recording. They could.
Well,
they got to be recording on their own accord too.
Listen, and you know what the craziest thing is? I saw a total of one video clip.
I also saw one video clip.
And you know what it was?
It wasn't bassin.
Didn't have nothing to do with catching fish.
What was it?
It was a guy getting DQ'd for asking a cameraman.
I did see that.
If his buddy had caught any fish. Here we are again. Another
useless
information DQ. And probably
they did it to be relevant. I think they did it to be relevant. Probably
the most negative part of the tournament. The only black stain on this tournament, which was, have you guys have both seen the clip?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see that.
I mean, I don't even know where to
I responded.
I don't even know where to begin because, listen, just don't do that. Dude, I get
do that in your Sunday leagues.
It seems like these have been soft DQs, and I know that you want to talk about intent and this and that, and that your average person isn't used to it, but similar to Zoobs' take on the Scott Martin deal, You can't do that, dude. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You have to have some kind of idea of what is going on.
Just don't say anything. Just
Like,
keep fishing.
I'm sorry. Yes, it was soft. Was he trying to gain an advantage? Absolutely not. Was it innocent? For sure. But it's a pretty black and white rule at that point. And it's like, I'm that was so stupid.
Especially on live.
It will be on
Oh,
everybody's
man.
mind after everything that's been going on recently with all these rules, these rules and DQs.
You have to.
I feel like if you're a professional angler, you are just thinking about this constantly.
You should be as a professional.
I don't know
angler,
how
thinking
that
about
was,
it constantly.
I don't know how it was possible. I don't know how it was possible to do something so dumb.
It was staged. That's what it was.
To
stay relevant. To stay relevant.
Yeah,
but the point of it is, but the point of it is, it was an absolute slugfest. Big names, Jason Christie win, no live scope, shallow water beat down, this, that, and the other. And that is the only video clip I was able to see of the entire tournament.
Yeah.
What is going on?
They failed with that one big time. So they had normal live coverage, right? Like Luke Duncan does his live coverage.
I saw a little bit of it. I tuned in for a few minutes here and there. Like I said, I didn't get much of an opportunity to, but I did kind of want to see what was going on. I tuned in for a couple minutes on one day and a couple minutes on another day. I didn't even see anybody catch a fish.
They should totally be having one stupid little intern from college blasting social media clips.
Like, I got so angry about this. Like, I want to like DM the NPFL and be like, dude, I will clip your tournaments for free. Like,
just
I'll
please
get out
do better.
and do it for you, because this is the level of incompetence in that is mind-boggling.
I agree more.
It's mind-boggling because I am in the interest of the NPFL succeeding. While I think the no scope thing is like whatever, I can see a place for it. I see a niche for it. People don't like scope. Okay, you got a place. I'm always going to be in favor of there being more professional fishing leagues, more ways to make money off of fishing, more big tournaments. I am very, very, very much in the interest of the NPFL succeeding. I want it to be big really badly. And they just need to step up. They're just shooting themselves in the face.
Yeah.
They had every opportunity at this tournament. I mean, those 2-3 minute fish catch social media clips are your number one driver of engagement to your brand, and they're utilizing it zero. Like, I'm shocked that people even know what the NPFL is.
Do they even have a Facebook? Did they post on that at all?
That's where
I saw that video clip. Actually, I think that was on Facebook.
I don't know. I don't use Facebook, but
I hate the name NPFL.
National Professional Fishing League.
I would have loved like USA Pro Bass Tour or something like that. Like, I don't know, USA Top 150 Bass Fishing. Like
here,
NPFL. I just don't like the name. I don't. I know there was a lot of thought, and they're doing a lot of great things.
Let's
NPFL, NFL.
Let's use their competitors as a comparison. Look, I'm not going to compare the Bassmaster numbers to the NPFL numbers because obviously they're going to be different. I'm going to compare Bassmaster to Bassmaster, and then you could scale that to the NPFL. Bassmaster posts a slideshow of pictures from Okeechobee, right? Which is the only thing that the NPFL posted all weekend. They posted still photos, slideshows of that. For March 2nd, the Lake Okeechobee tournament, it has 11 shares, 1,000 likes, 1 comment. The next post is a video of Brandon Polinick catching a bass in the tournament on March 2nd. It has 771 shares, 10,000 likes, and 150 comments. That is on the same Instagram page on this, posted minutes apart from each other.
Yeah.
That
the videos do incredibly well compared to just a normal post.
That is
we need to do
your
more
product.
videos.
As a professional fishing league, that 2-minute clip of Brandon Polinick catching a big fish on a glide bait, that's your product. That's the number one thing you're exporting. And this is, I mean, this is like McDonald's not selling any cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
That's what this is. That's like if you went to McDonald's and were like, "Can I get a cheeseburger?" and they said, "Nope."
We're out. We don't sell.
What are we? What are it's?
This is totally unrelated, but I had a shamrock shake the other day after I caught that walleye, and I was very happy. Continue, but yes, I see. It was really good.
I mean, that's all I have to say about it, and I'm mad that's all I have to say about it because I wanted to come up on here and talk about the MPFL and talk about how the tournament went, how things looked, maybe bring
up. But I don't know, and you can't. Can you find the archive footage anywhere? Is there like a archive? Can you even watch anything?
I have no idea.
Maybe on Facebook.
Brennan, is Zoop sounding like he's in a blender for you too?
It sounds like he's got jingle bells in the background when he speaks.
How about now? I turned my auto tune off. Is that okay?
You had auto tune on?
But
I'm looking at their.
I can't tell you anything else about the tournament because I don't know. The only thing I know about the tournament is Jason Christie posted on his personal Instagram that he caught a bunch of fish on a spinner bait, and that's how he won it. So I'm sure that was cool to look at if I could.
Yeah.
The NPFL YouTube page has 2 shorts. That's it. 2 video shorts, and they haven't posted since a month ago on their YouTube page.
They had to cut the social media team to pay off the bailiffs for all the fights that happened last year.
I mean, there is never going to be any level of success in that league if they don't do something.
Yeah.
Like, it's so... I don't want to harp on it, and I don't want to talk bad about anything because, like...
Well, no, it's constructive criticism for them. They need to step it up.
I hope that somebody is in their ear saying this and changing it because I like the NPFL. I love the NPFL. I'm a huge Luke Duncan fan. I like what they got going on over there, and I want it to do well, and it's just never going to do well.
You have to market it.
I mean,
you can rewatch some footage on their YouTube page, but it's like weigh-in, some final day coverage, like 5 hours worth, some day 3 launch. It's
nobody cares about the weigh-in except for the last 3 minutes.
Professional bass fishing isn't professional fishing. Professional bass fishing isn't about who catches the most fish. Professional bass fishing is who markets the best.
Basically.
And you ain't going to make it as a league if you ain't promoting. You ain't making money.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's your number one product. It's your number one product. And you're just not even offering it.
Let's hope they step it up.
It's not a matter of if it's good. It's not even a matter of if the product is good or bad. The product doesn't exist. Like,
you can't make a good or bad product if it's not there.
And based on the numbers and the posts and the pictures I saw, I bet you the product's awesome.
Yeah.
I bet you the product is sick.
Oh, yeah. Christy freaking hooking him on a big blade spinnerbait out of the trees.
I bet you it's sick, dude.
The content they could have got would have fueled their league for the entire year and would have had so much momentum. They could have got some money, some sponsorship deals. Who knows? We could have had freaking the NPFL on actual TV.
I mean,
I guess we'll never know.
If there's like if there was like a super badass clip of Jason Christie sticking an 8-pounder next to a cypress tree on a spinnerbait and wrestling them out of there and bringing them into the boat.
I'm literally scrolling through the 5 hours of.
I probably wind up sharing that clip with 10 to 15 friends who might not even know that an NPFL tournament is happening.
They might not even know what the NPFL is. They might not even know it exists. They might not even know that they can follow it.
I mean,
the growth.
The amount of people I sent that Brandon Polinick clip to, like, I put that in multiple group chats.
It's sent to me.
Like, I would be doing the same thing with the NPF, and hundreds of people would be doing that.
Their live coverage.
It's a social media pyramid scheme that you don't even have to pay. It just does it itself.
Right.
And they're not doing it. It's crazy to me.
I vote that
I'm scrolling through the 5 hours.
Alex Johnson for entry fees.
I'm scrolling through 5 hours of the footage from their day 3, and I don't even see Christie on here. I'm like struggling to find Jason Christie.
Yeah, I can find it.
No, I seriously, I'm not seeing it. I see Hackney. I see a little bit of Patrick Walters.
Are you watching any of these guys in the Classic next week?
What?
Are we watching Christie at the Classic next week? Did he make it?
Are
we going to have the opportunity to see these boys do their thing?
I mean,
Up shallow, maybe next week or the next couple of days.
Whoever's there, I'm going to be watching it. And if I'm not watching it live, which it's a Bassmaster Classic, so I'll probably be watching all of it live.
We'll watch it live.
But guess what? If I miss anything live,
I'm going to watch the replays.
10 of my friends are going to send me the social media clip on Instagram, so I'm not worried about it.
I don't think you don't have to watch a Classic live, and you can see everything that you ever wanted to see on Instagram, on social media, at your fingertips. And if the NPFL did a fraction of that, their growth would be to the moon.
It's mind blowing to me. I can't.
I hope they step it up. They got another month to Lake Norman. They better be blasting clips.
There's nothing for them to blast right now because all eyes are on Texas, baby.
Yep.
Bassmaster Classic.
So next week we'll talk about our Classic preview and some other stuff. We'll talk hopefully some more fishing. Hopefully a few of us will be able to get out between now and then. But yeah, I mean, I hate to end it on a negative note like that, but it's just like.
What do you mean on a negative note? We're not ended on a negative note. We're ended on the fact that I still don't have to have heat in this shit, and we're going bassin next week.
Yeah,
boats are out. We don't have to talk bass anymore. We can actually.
The negative note is that it's probably going to rain this weekend, which is so unfortunate. But anyway,
Maybe Zoob and Al will remember to stick a GoPro on their boat and actually record some footage for once.
I carried bumstock bass all winter.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, son?
All my harv clips that I was
never your harv clips
because I couldn't
format them properly. Your video of a one blade bait fish.
Scoliosis. We'll get there.
No, actually, the Bums Talk Bass Instagram videos have been carried so far by my Instagram videos over the past 4 years that I'm just repackaging and then posting on Bums Talk Bass.
And several of my Delaware River fish repeated over and over again.
And my blade bait bite. Never forget it.
No, that's never getting posted again.
We could forget it.
I'll take it.
But yeah, so we will see you guys next week when it's Bassmaster Classic time.
Let's go.
Oh, baby. See you
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.